Hey, what's up, guys? It's Exposed from Self-Taught. You're listening to 2K Courtside with SnowBikeMike. Make sure to retweet, follow, and host his streams. It just takes a couple seconds, but the support goes a long way. And keep doing a great job, Mike.
What is going on, 2K Hoopers? It's your boy, SnowBikeMike, about to take you courtside for another episode of our weekly 2K podcast where we discuss everything from around the NBA 2K League, community leagues, and events, and all things NBA 2K basketball. The Courtside Podcast is part of the National Amateur Pro-Am Exposure Network, where you can find not only this show, but other Pro-Am content and even participate in Pro-Am tournaments around the globe. So let's lace them up and hit the hardwood for this week's episode. This week's episode, I am joined by a very special guest who I'm trying to sweet talk into becoming my full-time co-host. So
Right.
Give him some love when you see him. I am joined by the one, the only, the prophecy on the ones and twos, a.k.a. Ryan, the WR commissioner for the PlayStation 4 division. It's his third season in that role, so if you're participating in any WR tournaments, go give him some love, maybe give him a hard time, but don't pull him too much. And
Blow
then,
up
of
the
course,
DMs.
he is the SL2K owner. So, Ryan, I gave you the small intro. Why don't you give it to us? Tell me about yourself. Tell the audience about yourself.
Oh, that was amazing, Mike. And thank you so much, first of all, for asking me to be a part of this broadcast. It's an honor to work with you. We've had the pleasure of working together before on a WR broadcast, doing some commentary on the ones and twos, as you said. So it's a thrill always to work with you. You bring such professionalism and such knowledge and passion about especially the 2K landscape and that whole world. So that's what I'm trying to get into as well. So what better way to do that than to talk some hoops with you on a weekly podcast format, and hopefully we can keep this thing going. And like you said, for those of you that may not be familiar with me, I am the WR commissioner for the PS4 division. It's my third season in that role. And I've been thrilled and honored with that opportunity, courtesy of Lux and Ev, the guys behind that amazing organization and platform. So I always want to thank them whenever I bring up my role with WR. I also started SL2K. You guys may be familiar with that. It's a free-to-play platform. The prize is getting into WR and getting an opportunity to be one of those comp teams as you feel more competitively ready, and that's kind of the whole idea behind our Spotlight League is we get those early entry teams that are trying to rank up and build kind of their status and make a name for themselves and give them the marketing tools and the platform and the structure to kind of do so and to learn how a league works. And SL2K has been very successful now going into its fourth season. And shout out to Reflex running that league, and Jet Nation, my guy Chris helping me out with that. So much appreciated once again. Thanks so much, Mike, for having me here.
Oh, it brings a smile to my face. You know, it's so awesome to meet others in the community. You and I, like we've talked about, got to commentate some WR games together. Yeah. I know what you've done in the community. You've seen me before, and it's nice to have a friend where you can go out and talk your passions, talk about 2K hoops, and man, I see you. I'm like, that guy's got it. Maybe we can link up together. I can learn from him, and we can make something special. So I had to ask you. I'm so honored that you said yes, of course. That's one thing out there. No matter where you are, whatever you do, don't ever be afraid to ask. You just put yourself out there. You try. What's the worst they say? No. You keep grinding. But if they say yes, maybe something special can happen. And hopefully, when we start this off and moving forward, you'll get something great out here and something to listen to on your daily commute. So let's jump into topic number one. Of course, I love starting off with the NBA 2K League. And
Absolutely.
We are, at the end of the month after the draft now, and we're almost towards the tip-off, but we got to talk about the draft that happened out there in Brooklyn, New York, in the Barclays Center. And man, it was phenomenal. All 21 teams showed up. All of the draftees were suited. They were booted.
Yes.
They were looking good.
Yes,
and it was
they
a
were.
great time. I mean, the production value prophecy was through the roof this
amazing.
year. No Adam Silver, unfortunately, but you know what? Brendan did a great job.
Yeah.
Dirk out there did a great job, joined with Scott Cole. Those two at the desk were phenomenal, and all the players were smiling. Everybody seemed to have a great time.
Oh, I mean, what an experience for everybody involved, especially as this whole landscape in this professional league is kind of in its infancy still. These players getting an opportunity to kind of see this for the first time, in addition to some of them experiencing it, being lucky enough to be in the building and hitting that stage and shaking hands with Brendan there. And amazing job by Dirk, I got to say, once again. kudos to him because that's such a difficult job to be at the desk, providing analysis, constantly filling time between picks, making sure everybody has the correct information that they need regarding the teams. And he was absolutely phenomenal. I was floored by his performance, and Scott's always amazing at what he does as well. So it was just an incredible night. I mean, what more exciting night can you imagine for the 2K community as a whole, for the professional league now successfully into its season 2, and the draft having taken place. It was an amazing night for sure.
Definitely. And history was written. We'll talk about that in a little bit when we touch on some of these picks. But of course, if you didn't get to watch, go check out the VOD broadcast. I'm sure up on their YouTube or their Twitch page. But we're going to run down just the top 10 picks. And then me and Prophecy will kind of go back and forth on maybe some of our sleeper or nice picks overall. And then, of course, we want to talk about the teams. Now that you've formed your squad of 6, it's really time to work. And of course, it gives us, the people on the outside, the fans, the community, a chance to evaluate, root on our squads, or say, man, did my squad mess up this year? So let's jump into the top 10. Of course, Jazz Gaming, with one of my favorite guys out there, 2K Comp Games, got the first pick, and they picked Rhea. Then Warriors Gaming Squad picked Gradient. Kingsguard Gaming, my favorite home team, picked BP. Pistons GT picked up Mr. Styles. Mavs Gaming picked up Pete B. Balling. Bucks Gaming picked up Plondo. Grizz Gaming picked up Vandy with the 7th pick. The 8th pick for the Celtics Crossover Gaming picked up Bully. Magic Gaming picked up Ariel Reezy. And then for your 10th pick, the Warriors Gaming Squad with the 2nd selection got to pick up Kina. So, Ryan, those are your top 10 picks.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
just talk about the top 10 really quick. Any of those names really jump out at you?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll start out with a team that doesn't really get talked about a whole lot, is the Warriors Gaming Squad. I think they hit a home run with their draft board. They obviously had 2 prominent picks in the top 10, getting 2 talented, experienced players like Gradient and Kina to complement their core, and what they got going already was smooth and tight. It's just going to be phenomenal. Those guys will be great locker room presences, so to speak, or in the house, as they're going to say about the 2K League, living in a house together. I think they'll be great housemates in terms of practicing and getting the chemistry going and stuff like that. And that's what you need to be successful at this level. We've seen it at the amateur stage. We've seen it at the pro league stage. That chemistry wins out. And I think getting 2 pieces like that have a familiarity with each other and have been around the comp scene and had a lot of success, that are marketable and that bring that great locker room chemistry, was a home run for them. And then you talk about Chiquita. I mean, that's a home run right there as well. You talk about marketability of a team and getting your team out there, and another super positive person just to add to a lineup and add to that house that's going to contribute in nothing but positive ways, and is a super talented player that gives hope to a lot of amateur ranked players that wanted to make it to this next professional level. And imagine all the young girls she's going to inspire, all the young people she's going to inspire, doing great community work with Warriors Gaming, I'm sure, as all the NBA 2K League teams have done a fantastic job with. So I just think those 3 selections in particular were wonderful, and Warriors Gaming kind of needed a facelift going into this season. They definitely got one, and they're going to be a team to talk about, I think, throughout the season. I also love the Mavs Gaming pick, Pete B. Ballin. I think that was a huge underrated pick, even as high as he went. Not a lot of people talked about that enough, I don't think. I think he brings such consistency at a high level. You talk about what he's done throughout his amateur stage career. You almost take it for granted, his success level. He was the MVP in WR recently. He's had recent success at the amateur level in the comp community heading into this pro league. And you talk about him with Dimes. They got that 2-man game in place. We've seen it so prominent throughout the stages of the pre-draft cycle, that 2-man game working. And then you add Mo to that, who can complement Dimes and work in that 2-man game with Pete. I just think it's going to be phenomenal for Mavs, and they're going to have a really big bounce back year. I also love Knicks Gaming, getting Malik. I thought that was a great pick, too. We've covered him, you and I, Mike, in the past, doing some WR games, seeing Malik play, and he's one of the more splendid shooters you'll ever see playing 2K. To add him to that already kind of stacked roster that's had success and that's been in those big moments, I think you can't go wrong with that. So I can't wait to watch him and Goof playing together as well. So those would be the ones that stand out to me. I also really like, if you go back to the top 10 real quick, talk about Vandy. What a calming presence Vandy's going to be. You've seen him do work for a couple of years now, prominently in the comp community with his team Caution, playing in all the major platforms. So what he's going to bring to the table, I think, is a great point guard leadership perspective to that team, and it's going to help elevate Grizz Gaming as well. So those would definitely be my standouts from the early parts of that draft.
Oh, prophecy! You hit the nail on the coffin right there. I mean, you took the words out of my mouth, and I totally agree. I think being a Northern California guy like I am, when we talk about Season 1's draft, everybody was talking about Kingsguard Gaming, picking up the big three, everything that they had from the amenities, the world-class stadium, and how great this team was going to be, and it really overshadowed that Bay Area squad of the Golden State Warriors. We fast forward throughout the year, both teams are pretty mediocre at best, not really causing a stir or a splash due to whatever, and now here we are in Season 2, and wow, look at the flip side now. The Bay Area doing gigantic things of picking up Keena and Gradient. I mean, these are two guys you and I have been watching for years now.
Yes.
They are truly incredible together. They're a force to be reckoned with. And to have 2 picks in the top 10 really make you say, oh, wow, this is going to be incredible. And to think that they got put on the same squad, I thought Keena might go earlier.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to be able to pick both of them, but they do. And that's going to be so exciting to see that, that chemistry that's already formed coming into the Bay Area with Smooth and Type, like you said. And then Shakita being selected. This is history being made right now. First female gamer in the 2K League. Very minimal female gamers in esports in general. So the Warriors now look so great out there in the Bay Area. Like you said before, Prophecy, I mean, the work that she's going to be able to do, the work that she's already done, getting the names like Ball Like Her out there, where now I'm watching an all-female Pro-Am squad, getting to know these girls' names, really getting to be behind them. This just shows you we're not about gender. It's about everybody and anyone. If you have skills, you have a passion, you can go out there and do it. And Warriors now have a great storyline to tell with these two guys, they're returners, picking up Shakita. This is going to be a lot of fun down in the Bay Area. And now Sacramento not looking as hot from that storyline there, unfortunately. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, man, you took the words out of my mouth again, touching on Mavs Gaming and, of course, the Knicks. I think Mavs got 2 great steals right there with Pete B. Balling and Mo. You're going to have 2 ball handlers in your first overall pick ever, Dimes, and then Mo on the opposite side and Pete B. Balling being able to flex in between setting screens for both of them. This is going to be a tough trio to deal with, and it's a lot of fun. And it's interesting, Ryan, when we talk about the Mavs, there we were. They kept Dayfry and Dimes, but then trade off Dayfry, who people really thought was one of the best centers, if not the best center in the league. There's some big names there, don't get me wrong, but one of the best. They trade him off, and now it's just Dimes on an island, and you're thinking, man, this is going to be an interesting situation down in Dallas with just Dimes. How do they build around him? Is it Dimes? Is it the organization? Why is Dayfry gone? All these questions. And then to see them lock down Pete B. Balling and Mo, I'm like, okay, this team is going to be just fine.
Yes, exactly. And I think Dimes has got a chip on his shoulder, too. I think a lot of people are talking about him 2K19 cycle, maybe not being as effective, perhaps, as he was throughout the last cycle of the game. That's, speculation from around the community, some opinions that I've seen thrown out there in the Twitterverse. But I think that's a guy that's been on the scene, been on the stage. He knows what it takes. He's got such a positive mental approach to the game and to his career as an esports gamer. He's done wonderful work getting himself and Mavs Gaming out there. And now he's got some help. He's got that help now where he's got Pete that's going to bring that amazing level of consistency that I talked about. And you're talking about a 6-8 team from last season that's going to have an opportunity to really make some noise behind those two guys in particular. And then Mo just takes all that pressure right off of Dimes once again because he provides that help in that two-man game that we've seen where maybe secondary shooters take some of those possessions away from the point guard, handling the ball in the wing with the big man setting those screens near the hash. And it's very effective in this game. We'll see how the league builds, obviously, play into that. But I think that's going to be one thing that helps Dimes a lot. It's just having that other guy, Mo, out there to help him. And obviously, unretained Rux joining the roster as well is a big coup for them. And Mavs Gaming, I think they're going to be just fine going into Season 2.
Oh, so exciting. And then, of course, you talked about the former champions, and I got to bring them up. You brought up Malik. That kid can shoot the leather off of a basketball in this video game, and I was so impressed by him being an unknown to me and then watching him over the years saying, wow, this is a must pick up. I thought he was going to be selected in that top 10 area, top 15. He dropped down, I think, maybe a possible round or two there, Prophecy, and that was a surprise that nobody else picked him up. I thought he was great. I thought he was a must-have. And to add on to a championship team that's already bringing back 4 players, now they got him and one of the only 2 international players being selected. So remember, they did select the New Zealand player, Jacob is what you want to call him, I believe. What do you think that name is right there?
Haza? I think you got Haza.
No, Haza's from the UK, so they select Haza. But, I mean, the kid down from New Zealand gets selected by Pistons. And so there's only 2 players from, outside the States being selected. So that was a big pickup. And I think Knicks only get better picking up Malik. This squad only gets stronger. They did lose Nate Call, their league MVP, and the finals MVP and the champion. That's a big loss there, but I think they surround themselves with some great players there in New York.
What a great storyline that's going to be with Nets and Knicks gaming, hopefully. Getting a rivalry going there with the whole storyline with Nate joining across the way there to Nets gaming. And, I think the Knicks are not going to have the inconsistency that you saw last regular season, only finishing 5-9. Obviously, they went on to do great things in the postseason. They're a great run, and the success that they've had only gives them confidence heading into season 2. And they're the team to beat until somebody dethrones them. And then you add a guy, like you said, Malik to the mix, just a seasoned veteran who can shoot the lights out from anywhere on the court. And how does that not help your team move forward in a positive way? So Knicks gaming, certainly a team to watch. I'm excited to watch them. I can't wait to see what unfolds for the champs in season 2.
Oh, so exciting, and especially a team, like you said, middle of the pack, not even looking into the playoff bracket, and they win the ticket and then go forward to win the whole thing. So truly incredible, and it shows you that anybody can win on any given day. They just got to have the chemistry and the faith and the belief. A couple of picks that kind of stood out to me that we want to talk about from the top 10. You touched on Vandy. Vandy has been in the game for so long, kind of overlooked in season 1, not making that. But here he is in season 2 going to the Grizz. You're going to have a great player there. 2 players that jumped out at me was, of course, Plondo and Bully. These guys, when you look at the organization, you know that they have some people behind the scenes that either believe in these players or knew they were going to get steals and some dark horses there. Because I think when Plondo and Bully both got selected, the chat erupted like, who's that? Ooh, that's an interesting choice. Even Dirk was like, I didn't have him this early on. And so not to, say anything against him, I think they both can play. But those were interesting moves. But when you look at the organizations of Bucks Gaming, who they have up there, and of course, Celtics crossover with Rico, these are guys that are in tune with the community. They're not picking top 10 players if they're not sure they're going to help this squad,
Oh, no question. And don't forget all the access that those GMs and scouts have to the metrics and advanced stats from the combine performances. That there's obviously reasons for a guy like Plando to go as high as number 6. So I'm going to be watching him to make a big impact, obviously, with Bucks Gaming. I think it's going to happen right away, and I think it's going to be immediate as far as being drafted that high a level, the guy's going to perform. And that's the reason why they were taken that high. Those scouts, that was their whole job these last 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So they're just watching streams, watching games. So the guy can play despite where you may not have seen him as far as the competitive platforms that people are used to seeing these guys play on. But nonetheless, taking number 6 overall and certainly going to have a big impact on that Bucks Gaming franchise. And like you said, Vandy, I think that's a home run pick. I love what Vandy brings to the table. I think he's a pro. If you want to define like kind of what a 2K esports pro is, I think that's a guy that's kind of proven that year after year, just the way he's consistently streaming, marketing himself already, super professional on the air. Nothing to say about him negatively as far as Vandy's concerned. Gameplay perhaps a little bit inconsistent at times with his history, but overall I think he's just going to be a slam dunk for Grizz Gaming. That's an exciting pick for sure.
Exciting pick for them is right. And it's interesting, I feel like season 1 in that first round we had some names in the community that weren't known. People were like, who is this? And still it was a brand new league. It was their first ever draft. These were people that people didn't know them in the community. A lot of people were kind of quieter in the community. They were on their own grind, and it felt like that first round everybody was like, who's this? Who's that guy? Why is Sean Wynn being selected? Who's this guy? And now it felt like when we went into season 2, it was a bigger stage. Everybody really knew each other in the community. And, man, you can go down those top 10 picks right there, and only 2 were question marks, if that, even though we knew who they were. But it felt more like, hey, we know everybody here. These are the names that we expected to go. And that was a lot of fun to see as well, especially when you go down the top 3, Rhea, Grady, and BP. A lot of these names were already picked. People knew that. And, of course, Mr. Styles, people were expecting him to go in season 1, didn't even make the draft pool in season 1, which was interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just speaks to the elevated grind of a lot of these guys with this opportunity. They put in the work now, and they saw this chance and this path in front of them for a professional esports career, and they've taken it up a notch. So now you see kind of the competitive balance even matriculate into the pro league. All these teams just got better and better because there's so many more competent, competitive players out there on the scene. And you talk to the chemistry factor that we alluded to earlier, discussing round one and how the Warriors kind of operated their picks. That chemistry factor of just teams playing together over the course of these last 2 years and building a name for themselves and elevating each other through their play. I think that was what's played a big part in how this league has been formed and how it's going to continue to fill. That chemistry factor is just going to be a story we keep talking about. Guys kind of being drafted from the same clans or the same crews. We've seen clans with every player that they have in the amateur scene in the league now. Certain clans with that going for them, for their name and their community branding and marketability. So it's just an elevated game for everybody at every stage, the amateur level, the pro ranks. It's all about marketing. It's all about keeping your Twitch rolling, playing in these great amateur rank platforms, winning the tournaments, getting those trophy emojis and those ring emojis on the Twitter profile. And that's how you build your name, man. And we saw a lot of guys do it this year that we expected to, which was great. And that just shows the growth of the community at large. And it was funny because, like you said, Dirk had a run of like 13 straight picks in a row when the draft kicked off. He kind of knew everything that was going to happen, and that's not because he had some special insider access info. It's just because you do the homework. You know what these guys are capable of, and you see kind of how these teams are being formed and the cores that are in place and what they need, and it helps you kind of see what's going to happen as far as the first round is concerned with the competitive pro-am scene. And it's exciting. I think that's how it's going to be moving forward too. We're just going to kind of see these guys rise and elevate, and you see some new names that we're going to talk about a little later kind of doing that now, even in the weeks just following the draft. So it's super exciting. It's going to be a year-round thing. This thing's never going to slow down, and we just have to be grateful for the 2K League for all these opportunities, for sure.
I love that. Well, keeping it going here with the NBA 2K League and moving away from the draft. Now we're here. Everybody's getting flown across the country, preparing their team houses, getting in the reps, getting in the practice. And I do want to give a shout out right now. Of course, you guys have kind of heard the NBA 2K League Season 2 build now has online functionalities for these teams to be able to practice and scrimmage against each other. If you remember in Season 1, people are traveling from miles away, Orlando to Miami, Sac to Golden State, Detroit and Cleveland. People are traveling for miles just to be able to practice against live action. Now, thankfully, they have some online. Of course, that will be a little bit different when you start to play land, but at least these teams can get the reps in because now they're preparing for our first tip-off tournament. Of course, that's going to have $120,000 on the line in the prize pool. Everybody's going to be participating in this tip-off tournament from April 2nd to April 6th out there in the New York studio. And man, of course, here we go again. Now we start to look at the graphic. We start to circle the big matchup.
Yeah.
Who's the death group? Which group do you want to watch the most? And it's going to be really excited. So these teams are preparing for April 2nd, as I said. And as we take a look at this graphic, you got group 1 all the way through 7, 21 teams ready to go. And Prophecy, we got to talk about it really quick.
Sure.
Is there any group that jumps out at you where you're like, hey, this is either must-watch TV or, hey, one of these 3 teams is going to have a very tough time getting out of this group because it is too tough over there?
Well, I think they're really smart about how they put this together because you see a lot of built-in stuff kind of already happening with the storylines that they're trying to push forward and these kind of player rivalries, these team rivalries. So you jump out already at group number 2 and you see the Nets and the Knicks there. And I can't wait for that matchup, obviously. That's going to be a juicy one. So super fun to watch there. And then you have kind of Magic Gaming kind of lurking in there saying, hey, we're here too. And to see how they can have success against two kind of culturally established franchises, if I can speak culturally in terms of the 2K community, the Nets Gaming, they're just doing a wonderful job, kind of a community-run team. Their imprint is felt on social media. So when I say culturally, just kind of building what the 2K League represents and doing that community work and setting the tone on social media, setting the culture tone for the 2K League as a whole, Nets Gaming. So I love what they're doing. It's going to be exciting to watch them in Group 2. Group 4 is a super tough group as well. You got Heat Check Gaming, 76ers crew over there. Heat Check, don't forget about what they did last year. Everybody's kind of not talking about them too. They have a pretty smart guy at the helm over there who knows what he's doing in terms of competitive 2K. He showed that last year in terms of Famous running that squad at Heat Check. So I'm excited to watch how that unfolds. That may be one of the tougher groups. Obviously, Kingsguard has had a rough couple of weeks. That changes the landscape of that group and see how that's going to impact those games as well in terms of what's going on with them. So that's very fascinating in terms of what's going on in Group 4. And then you look at Group 7 too. You got Jazz Gaming with Comp running the show over there. How are they going to come out? That's a really exciting storyline for this season too. They got an established community member at the helm over there, and he's going to do great things for Jazz Gaming. They had the #1 overall pick. So how are they going to look coming out of the gates? And they got tough opponents over there with Bucks and Blazers and the reigning MVP over there. So Group 7 is going to be a super tough one as well. And then Group 5, you get a first look at the Warriors squad. So there's a lot of great stuff going on. I love how they put this thing together. I can't wait to watch the tip-off. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, so exciting. And, man, you circle a lot of those groups. And a big one they kept bringing up is, coming from the community, looking within the community, really building that culture. And we could circle almost half plus of these teams that really dove in there, from 2K Comps out there to OG King Kurt, famous enough. There's so many more. Rico out in Celtics, but they did such a great job of, after season 1, kind of finding out, man, if we look into the community with some of these, personalities, some of these people that are in tune with it, they can really help our team. And some of the big ones for me, I want to touch on Group 1 right here. We talked about Mavs Gaming having such a great draft right now. Right. I think they're about to go up against a Raptors team that has some good retained players coming back who did well in the season. Cavs Legion has something to prove. They don't have Hood anymore. Hood was on SportsCenter. Hood the first 3 weeks was putting up like 40-plus points a game. Now they're going to be a whole brand new look. They got O'Leary coming in, and we know O'Leary has a huge story from the offseason up to today. What a beautiful, heart-wrenching, heartwarming story of what he's had to endure and what he can be now. And I think this group is going to have some good storylines in here. For me in particular, I want to see Anthony Morocco and the Cavs team set the tone early. I need to see the Mavs gaming squad come out strong. I think this is the moment when they silence the doubters out there. Like you said, with Dimes having a chip and the team that they just drafted, now's the tone. I think you come out and you set it right away in this group. So that one's exciting to me. Touched on Group 2. I think that's good. I would love to see what Magic can do. I'm looking over at Group 6, and a big one for me is you're going to have the culture, like you said, Celtics versus LA. This isn't real basketball, but those franchises still have a huge storyline there. Right. And those are 3 teams that I like to look at. Pistons GT, middle-of-the-road team run by Adam Rubin, who is very in tune with the community, always talking up people. And that group out there, I think they can run this. Celtics with Rico is going to have a strong squad. And here's one of your first expansion teams from LA with Moody, Vert. This squad, I think they have something to prove, and they need to prove it right off the bat. So I'd love to see what Lakers can do. And then another one, Group 5. I think you touched on the ones that I'm not touching on, which is great. But Group 5 here's another 3 middle-of-the-road teams that could be higher-tier teams with Warriors Gaming Squad. Pacers have a great job right there with Cody. Cody's put together a team. Cody's put together a scary team on some paper that you could look at. And Hawks GC, another expansion team, gets Dev Goss, and Dev is known all around the community from Throwdown. So I'm excited to see that expansion team sign. Man, what a great bracket. I think, like you said, they did a really good job of, there is no death lineup for me. I don't look at any one of these and say, that's the death group. Nobody's making it out alive. Everybody seems to be on an even playing field here. You could pick out 2 to 3 squads in each one that's like, okay, I think this is going to be a good group right now. Nothing stands out like that's the ugly one,
Yeah, I mean, you got the flashy groups that we kind of talked about, and then, like you said, in over in Group 1 and Group 6, you got some really competitive teams that had a lot of success last season. The Cavs and the Raptors, they finished 8-6, so they know what's going on. They know how to get W's out here. And then the Pistons had a great season last year. They were in great position. Had 9-5 seasons. So you look at that group 1 and Group 6, you got some prominent squads from last season that did a lot of work, and we're going to see how they come out. And it's an opportunity for Mavs Gaming, like you said, to kind of come out, prove a point early against 2 really good ball clubs, and then for Celtics and Lakers, an opportunity to make a step up here and really take out a sound Pistons team who had Styles. So we're going to see how Styles kind of fits with that roster. They obviously lose Ramo, but we're going to see how the Pistons look here in Group number 6, and that's a really exciting storyline to go with that built-in rivalry of the cross coast there, the Celtics and Lakers. I think that's really awesome how they're trying to tap into some of that. We've kind of seen that every decade or so in the big leagues in the NBA, that rivalry kind of playing its part and having an impact on the culture as a whole of basketball. So hopefully that can translate to this NBA 2K league, and we can see a great rivalry established between Celtics and Lakers. So it should be exciting, man. I can't wait to get this thing going. It can't come fast enough for me.
Remember, mark your calendars. April 2nd through the 6th will be the tip-off tournament. I know a number of the community members will be out there in support in the big studio. And, of course, you can watch it live at twitch.tv/NBA 2K League. They'll be broadcasting now Wednesday through Friday. So make sure to mark your calendar. A little bit change up on this schedule, so make sure to be aware of that one. But a fun one, $120,000 in the prize pool. Of course, you want to start off the season with some extra money in your pocket and some big-time recognition, so exciting. And our final two topics for the NBA 2K League. This one, we're going to talk about the regular season schedule, has been fully released. We're going to just touch on really quick week number 1, give our impressions, maybe some of the big highlight games that we're excited for. But mind you, the tip-off tournament is technically the first week, and it's really going to change our outlook after how this tip-off tournament goes of maybe our week 1 picks. So let's pick some couple of games before the tip-off, and maybe when we record afterwards, if our thoughts change about some of these games.
Yeah, for night 1, I really love that Pacers and Jazz Gaming matchup. I think the Pacers a great opportunity to get a look at that roster who's had such dominance over the amateur scene with a couple of guys in their core, Wolf and Ramo, who've kind of just torn apart each console. They won WR titles on each console this season, which is unheard of. They were at one point for about an hour there. They were the Xbox and PS4 champs while we were doing the broadcast until the PS4 new winner was determined. So that was an amazing accomplishment for those guys. So can they take it to the next level now? Can Wolf hit those corner threes on what we suspect will be his build hanging out in the corner over there? Can Ramo have a huge impact with that team chemistry that he brings with Wolf? So we're going to get a look at Pacers Gaming and what they're all about. And Jazz having the number 1 overall pick in that matchup just makes it all the more interesting for night 1 there. Obviously, as you said, the landscape may change based on what we see in the tourney, but for the first week, I think that's a wonderful matchup to kick things off. Celtics and Hawks Talon, that's a great game as well. We get to see the first expansion team come out and run in a 2K League game, so that's history making. And then you got, of course, the Warriors, perhaps the debut of the first female esports competitor in Chiquita. We'll see if she cracks into the lineup for that particular matchup there, possibly. Otherwise, get a look at a great Warriors gaming squad. And then you got, I know you got this one circled as well, Mike, Knicks and Heat check, that fourth game. I mean, what a featured marquee. How do you get better than that? That's going to be the one everybody's watching for sure, and see what Famous is bringing offensively with Heat check's scheme there. That's always exciting to watch. He's been cooking up in the lab, so we're going to get our first look at that. So those would be my standout picks for sure from that first night, which looks epic, absolutely epic.
Epic first night is right, and man, the pre-nightcap right there with Knicks and Heat Check Gaming, the finals rematch is going to be a whole lot of fun, and I think you put it well. What offense will Heat Check Gaming run? We saw them switch over to that 5-out, truly dominate throughout that finals tournament to make it so far, and finally Knicks able to really slow that pace down before they got overrun and secure the championship. But that will also be an interesting question of what is everybody running? We've seen the meta here in NBA 2K19 on the Pro-Am side. A lot of pick and rolls, that 2-man, big man, and point guard dominant with shooters in the corners. Will we go back to 5-out? Will we go with this pick and roll meta? What is this really going to look like? And it's super exciting to see. And I think you put it well. Heat Check Gaming with Famous enough. He's going to be drawing up something special, and it's going to be fun to see. Another one for me, as you took a look at some of these ones, I want to look at Blazers 5 Gaming. Yes, they are playing the Bucks, and it's not that big of a matchup, but here come Blazer 5 again. Blazer 5 went like 16 weeks without a loss. You know what I mean? This team was really tough here. They had the league MVP in One Wild Walnut, Mama, I'm that man, and they got a squad there. And so it'll be interesting to see how they come out in the game 1 of week 1 and what they look like. Are they still going to be down, mashing dominant with Walnut? Will they change something up? How do they reflect the new meta? And I'm really excited for Blazer 5, regardless of who they play. And my final one that I'm going to touch on is Night 3, game number 4. Kingsguard Gaming and Wizard District. So
there you go.
This actually rolls into our final topic of the NBA 2K League, and why I want to bring this up is these two teams had a very interesting offseason. So, of course, on the Wizards District side, they get Dayfry. They retain Boo Painter, and they retain JT, Fresh Prince, Demon, JT, whatever you want to call him. He's got all the names. He's just JT,
Demon,
the god in my book. So that's all that really matters. But they have those 3 players. And then, of course, Boo Painter, a.k.a. Shump, has something go on in the offseason where he gets kicked out of the league.
Yep.
Then, if we fast forward to draft day, I'm talking earlier in this month, Kingsguard Gaming released Moody. He goes off to LA. Now they're going to build around Timely Cook and Colt. Timely Cook somehow gets kicked out of the league the day of the draft. What is going on in Sacramento? So now you have to circle your calendar of these two teams have lost two key players that they wanted to build around.
Absolutely.
Now they had to totally redraft, rebuild what they're going for. Thankfully for, Wizards District, they can still build around Dayfry and JT, but they still have to rebuild. On the opposite side, Kingsguard now is just left with one retained player in Colt and really have to scramble. They get the third pick, which is BP, and that's what I want to talk about right now with you, Prophecy, is BP out here. Earlier this week, sources tell Dimer 2K. If you're not following Dimer, go check out Dimer on Twitter. Their website, they're incredible. Will and Josiah over there do an incredible job. I check them out every day. But they report that Kingsguard Gaming pick number 1, BP, is unhappy in Sacramento and has talked with his agent saying that he wants to leave the team and be traded. What is going on over in Sacramento? So let's wrap out our NBA 2K topic with, what does that look like heading in there? If you were the GM, if you were a player, Prophecy, how are you feeling heading into the tip-off tournament just days away?
Ooh, it's a tough one. I mean, I got to imagine, Mike, there's kind of two ways it can go, right? It can maybe perhaps galvanize the players that are there to perhaps stepping up their games and maybe hyper-focus, locking in even more due to the surrounding kind of noise that's going on with the team and the organization. And BP obviously voicing his displeasure, according to the reports, with what's going on there, and him kind of echoing that he wants out, perhaps. So we're going to be super interested to watch that unfold, obviously. I mean, he's still got to play the game. As far as right now, they haven't moved him yet. He's part of Kingsguard Gaming, so is BP going to come out and have a positive impact on the team? And then it's just unfortunate to have such dramatic events happen that kind of dismantle what you've been building just when you're starting to get some momentum with a kind of a draft that kind of saved you a little bit, getting BP and kind of Zaki there and building your franchise back up after losing Cook. And then you have BP kind of wanting to opt out. That's just a tough blow to take, one after another. That's kind of ridiculous. So it's going to be amazing to watch in terms of the storyline of the season and how they come out to play. And the other way that it could go is obviously south. It could make them just kind of lose track and lose their focus even more and not perform at the level necessary to get W's on this big stage when they're going against the toughest competition in the world. Let's not forget about that. They got to play these games and they got to go against these opponents. These guys are going to be screaming in their ears about what's going on during the game. So they're going to have to mentally bring that fortitude and that strength and that positive image of what's going on in their minds to be able to be successful. And can they do that? Can they bring that and bring that professionalism? So that's going to be an opportunity for these players to kind of prove their merit as esports professional athletes with this early controversy with Kingsguard. So like you said, super interesting to watch. Unfortunate situations all around. And I also wonder, is this going to be a trend? Do we see more of this? Do we see other players kind of try to take control their own destinies, so to speak, like we see in the NBA with kind of the way this generation has been kind of steering their own paths and navigating their way to teams that they want to play for and groups that they want to play with. Will that trickle down to the 2K League, as above, so below, like they say? So it's kind of started that way with Season 2 with the biggest news story that's broken so far regarding BP, and will we see that continue as the season unfolds in this trade window that's going to happen approach here? So another super interesting topic. Can't wait to see how it works out. I mean, it's dramatic, and I'll be watching like everybody else is with Kingsguard, no question.
Wow, yeah, incredible, and very excited. Like I said in the previous part of the show, I'm a Northern California guy up here in Lake Tahoe. So Sacramento, Golden State, those are our stomping grounds out here. And I was a big Sacramento fan in Season 1 to see my big three kind of fall apart. Yeah. The role players did well. I have to give some love to Sophia Foya and Cole World and, of course, Cowboy. I thought they did decent when they could, and the team just couldn't put it together with everything that they had. And I thought coming into Season 2 with Cook and Colt, I thought they'd be able to build around. And to hear that your first pick, number 3 overall in Season 2, doesn't want to be there, ask so many questions. Like you said, do they persevere, come out and show strong? I mean, maybe BP will change his mind after they play well in the tip-off tournament.
Right.
Who knows? They haven't even been on the competitive stage yet. Or on the flip side, do you as a GM or coach look at them and say, well, guess what, BP, you're riding the pine then until we figure out what's going to go on with you? Because, A, we don't know if you can release a player or just say goodbye to him. Does BP really want to take a pay cut and be out of the league? Could he do that? We don't know. And we also know there is a trade window somewhere in this season. We had a trade window in the summertime. We don't know when this trade window is. It hasn't been fully announced with all the details, but we know there is a trade window. So do you make this player your third overall pick in season 2, ride the pine and just go with the backup squad? What is that going to look like? And so for me as a Sacramento fan, it kind of hurts that I'm so distraught, like what's going on? And then you got your Bay Area team writing a beautiful storybook ending, and you're thinking, okay, maybe I got to go buy some blue and gold. But exciting stuff and very interesting stuff out of both those squads, with players being, kind of kicked out of the league or suspended out of the league. Yeah. Very interesting to see, and something I didn't think we would see at all. I know some people in the community on the Twitterverse kind of ride that edge, ride that line of, is that okay, is that not okay? And so to see the league really take a stance on this now kind of shows you they're keeping eyes on you no matter where you are. You represent the NBA in some form or fashion, so you got to make sure that you're doing it right. And 2 players now have been, your examples here. What will other people do? And BP now is the next one of, he's setting a different example of, I don't want to be there. Very fun stuff. And that will wrap up our topic number 1 of NBA 2K League talk. Whole lot of fun from the draft, the tip-off tournament, season 1 matchups, and then, of course, some crazy player talk there from different teams. But I want to roll in, of course, and take a look at the community. One of my favorite things, and, our favorite thing, something that you and I share a passion for, is esports commentating with these lower-level community-driven leagues from MPBA, WR, NPAX, all of these different things. You and I are really ingrained in that community. You get to see so much. You're always in talk with these players from SL2K to WR. You think you do an amazing job. And so when we look around the community, let's take a quick stop at the WR Pro-Am scene. My favorite thing about WR is it's always ongoing. It's always out there for the community. You think you have the news, and guess what? 2 days later, there's about 7 more pieces of news. So we'll try our best to keep up to date with that. But shout out to WR, always ongoing, never stopping. That's something I know you and I both love about them. No question. So I want to talk about the recently announced Season 14 awards for the PlayStation 4 side. Your team of the year was Rise Above, winners of the Open and mid-season tournaments, finishing the season with a record of 18-2. Your scoring champ, it's goated with 16 games played and an average of 25.4 points per game, so great for him. Rookie of the year, Sav, with 23 points per game and 8.2 assists per game. We'll talk about him soon because he's definitely my standout. Defensive player of the year, Ant2K Flex, averaging 10.5 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1.4 blocks per game. He's definitely doing it big on the defensive side. And finally, your MVP of the season, Rip Rel, my apologies, can't say my R's, who averaged 24.5 points, 8.7 assists per game, and I don't know what that final stat is. Maybe Prophecy can help me out on that
that's
one.
That's the player efficiency rating. WR keeps these amazing advanced metrics, so they go above and beyond with their stat keeping. And we have advanced metrics such as player efficiency rating and Rip Rel. The MVP was one of the league highs, 25.7, just showing his overall impact. Was a big reason why he took home that award. And actually a news bit about him, if I could just jump in here on Rip Rel. I saw on the Twitterverse that reigning MVP of WR is having account issues. Apparently had his main account suspended, so that's tough. When you're reigning MVP, it's going to be a big contributor this season at WR. All of a sudden, he's got to kind of collect the pieces here and get a new build together for league play. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, congratulations to all the award winners. And like you said, the news nonstop about WR for sure.
Nonstop, always flowing. And that one rolls right into what next I'm going to say. Remember that registration for the WR Pro-Am League Season 6 on the Xbox side and Season 15 on the PlayStation side are both currently live. So grab your squad and go sign up today. Go to wr-league.com/registration. If you and your 5 think you have what it takes to be the best on the Pro-Am scene, go check out WR Pro-Am because they do it all. Go check out their Twitter. You got Prophecy right here, the PlayStation 4 commissioner, he's talking with me all the time, so you guys can definitely get involved in always exciting stuff. I know you have some more WR news for me, so let's jump into it. Let's chat about it.
Oh, sure, man. Well, you know about WR Select, obviously. That's just getting going. You did an incredible job. Let's give it up here in the chat, wherever this is airing, for my guy SnowBikeMike here. He's been giving me a lot of love, but we got to recognize greatness here. 6 hours of marathon coverage of the WR Select draft with Ev kind of spinning the wheels on the draft board and you kind of providing oversight over the entire process regarding information and getting the news to the people watching the stream. And SnowBikeMike put in an absolutely clutch performance on both nights. It was super fun to watch that draft experience at an amateur level. So many players were excited about that, hearing their names called. Just the exposure from those streams, just a wonderful thing, I think, provided from WR. We talked a little bit about that during the stream as well. So make sure you catch those on the archive at WR Pro-Am League Twitch and check out what went down and who the top amateur players in the ranks are now in terms of who signed up for this draft league. Because you got some big names in there. You got Duck and Cell winning the draft 1-2 there. You got the MVP from the Xbox side, Height Don't Lose. That was the #1 pick is on the Xbox side of Select things. So it's an amazing program, and their season's just about to get underway. It's all set up beautifully, and these players are going to have an awesome time. I've heard nothing but good things from the GMs as well. I've seen some wonderful tweets from the players. I saw Seldom, shout out to him. He made a wonderful post on Twitter about his GM, Cece, who I did a stream last night with in a broadcast for the Open Finals. So shout out to Cody Lewis, Cece. And Seldom, if I can get back to the point, he was just talking about what a great GM that Cece was to him. He's watching film with them. They're studying the game together. They're getting a bond going just from this Select draft league experience, which is very cool, and it could serve them well later on, perhaps at the professional level. You never know. So that's what this league is all about, and a wonderful platform provided by WR. Of course, the WR Open wrapped up last night, Mike. Like you said, the news just never stops. You got the Select League, and then you got the original league kicking off. Preseason tournament just went down. We've got all these new brands. We got all these new faces and lineups, new contributors on the scene that are looking to rise to that next level. And it's just a super exciting time. I love it. This is my favorite season since I've been on board, really, because you don't have those lurking no smokes, those 2K prophecies that will wave you going to the league. They're not in the league in the WR competitively anymore. So all these teams that were kind of dominating the scene, no self-taught, you know what I mean? They're gone too. So it's all these a room wide open here, standing room only in WR to get access to this higher rank competitive tier that everybody's chasing after to make a name for themselves. And what a time to do it. It's a perfect opportunity. There's 130 teams signed up on just the PS4 side alone for WR, trying to get those rings and trophies and compete at the highest level with some of the best players in the world at the amateur ranks. So it's just a super exciting time, the spring and summer. I love it. It's a new landscape. Who's going to emerge? Who's going to be the front runner teams? We saw the Open champs last night on the PS4 side. Lifestyle put in a great performance. Duck, Shump, Glow, Manha, they were amazing in that series. Kind of a shock to some people, really, taking out a Bloodlust team who some people feel is one of those front-running teams post-draft with Sav, who we mentioned as the Rookie of the Year in WR, kind of leading the way. They were the champs last season in their first competitive season ever. Sav won a ring in the Rising Star Trophy, first season in WR to do that. It's an incredible accomplishment against some of the best players. So they formed this Bloodlust team, Future Clutch and Sav, and they're a really good squad. They've been cleaning up, and they made it to the finals. Lifestyle took them out. So that's a good chip on the resume there, notch in the belt for Lifestyle there. And In Control, another new brand the kind of we're seeing emerge on the scene, won the Xbox tournament just last night. You can catch all the action. We covered it live for you with immersive play-by-play commentary on the WR Twitch, so make sure you check it out. In Control got a big win. They got JBM, playoff JBM as he goes by. They got Chaos, who I've heard is a Madden player, pretty prominent Madden player as well. Jumping over to the 2K side of things, and they got a guy named Skyza doing big things at a stretch build for In Control. So shout out to those teams for taking home the Mun, as my guy Rankum would say. He kind of started that phrase. I love how he says that, the Mun, representing the league winnings and the prize money, $500 to each winner of that respective tournament on each console, and over 50 matchups just in the first round. So what a gauntlet to go through to raise that trophy and put that Twitter emoji up on your profile to go through all those teams. It was a 7-day tournament, 24 hours deadline, so these teams went night after night getting these games in. They did a wonderful job getting the results in. Every game just about got played, minimal simulation. So just a fantastic job by all the teams participating in WR. I can't wait to watch the season unfold. We got some great squads. I'll drop some more names for you. We got Always Lurkin. They're 4-1 out of the gates with Volts and Reese Money. We got War Ready looking pretty sharp with Ant Flex at 5-1. Lights Out Esports with TM Chris and Gen Hype. Tunnel Vision with 416 and Caleb. Bad Blood with Team Money and Football Guy. There's so many teams, Mike. I can't believe it. It's crazy. There's so many good squads. I can't wait to watch them all. One more team I'm going to shout out here while I got you. Beyond Talented. Little Sean. He won Player of the Week award in WR recently. He's a very prominent player trying to make a come up, make a name for himself, establish his presence to get towards a professional job. He's playing with Bry the Kid, another guy we know who's a prominent comp player. So Little Sean and Bry the Kid form Beyond Talented, and they're running together now, so that'll be interesting to watch as well. For the WR season. So a ton of stuff constantly happening with WR. The cycles never stop. I got to shout out Evan Lux once again. Two incredible figureheads of this community that don't get enough love, I don't think, in terms of just the constant work that they do. Kind of unseen behind the scenes operating WR, doing so much work that people don't know about, handling that league day to day, handling all the DMs on the Twitter, just knocking out work constantly throughout the year. Like you said, year-round action. So WR phenomenal, and I'm just so thrilled to be a part of it. I'm so grateful to have a place and to be able to get on the ones and twos and call some of those games, man. It's super fun, and season 15 underway, season 6 on the Xbox, so we're kicking it off, man.
Just like that, you can hear the energy, the excitement coming from your voice, and that's what I love. And, it gives a place for all of these players out there, a chance to shine, a chance to spotlight their skills. And a lot of these brands, a lot of these big names that are heading into the NBA 2K League were built in spring and summer, so the grind never stops. And right now, WR to MPBA, National Amateur Pro Exposure League, all these people are giving you a chance. So go out there with your squad, go have some fun. Remember, if you are currently watching this, the NBA 2K Courtside podcast with SnowBikeMike and Prophecy is going to sponsor one Pro-Am team to head into WR. I'm going to take care of all of their registrations fees for a chance for you guys to get out there. So if finances are an issue for you, please comment in the YouTube video down below. I'm reaching out to you guys, want to talk with your team, figure out your personalities, and of course, sponsor one of you guys to get a chance to go out there and have some fun. So come out and join us there on the WR side. And man, like you said, so many great names. I got to watch the finals broadcast with you guys last night. You and CC did a phenomenal job on the cast. And then touching on the Select League, this is something. It's funny because I got to do the draft again with the team. I actually got to do the draft season 1. Yeah. And man, it was like a full circle come around. So many people in this chat this time. 2 full nights of coverage. Everybody was so excited. The team at WR did a phenomenal job. The graphics were right on point. They did a great job with now the big draft board setup. This was not around last year. Right. And it's been very interesting to see, other leagues, MCPA in particular, was kind of one of the first to do this. Hey, don't come in as a squad. We're going to take you one by one. We'll allow people to be GMs and coaches, and we'll build that up. And WR saw that, and they went out and did their Select League last year, and it was a big hit. Everybody was excited to be able to make new friends, meet new people, get better, coming in as a solo person instead of a squad of 5 that you've been playing with. And to see them head into season 2, a real ring, a piece of hardwood or hardware's on the line. That's ring, exciting. Amazing Some ring. Big money. And like you said, you got to talk with CC. I got to talk with different GMs and players throughout the draft. It's so exciting to see people that maybe not the best 2K player, or they're really into it, but they want to be a GM or a coach and be able to make those bonds with these players that want to play and help them grow and say, hey, there's other opportunities for me in this NBA 2K League that's just not a player, whether it be a commentator like us, whether it be a coach or a GM. People see that and they're like, you know what? I'll try my hand at that. Let me get involved. And it's nothing but fun over there. So, of course, kudos to you. Kudos to Lux and Ev. These guys working hard all the time. I know that. They've given me my shot. So make sure to go give them some love. To round out our community exposure right now, of course, you have the National Pro-Am Exposure League. They are going to be putting on the Who's Got Next tournament on both consoles. So you can go register right now at NAPX2K.com. Who's Got Next? So make sure to go check that one out. And finally, one from the community that we got to touch on real quick that's kind of interesting over here. Our guy, the uncle, they call him Unk Hami out here. He is putting on his own YAUNKLEENT Invitational. YAUNKLEENT Invitational. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that one, but they always have some fun with 32 teams, $50 entry fee, AAU format, 8 pools of 4 teams. Top 2 teams come out of each bracket to play in the bracket play. Bracket play is best of 3, with the finals being best of 5. Tournament tips off on April 7th, so you're right around the corner. Make sure to go sign up. I know he's gotten a lot of love, a lot of interest coming over there, and that's another personality out in the community that's doing great things. He's always promoting other people, always getting excited for people and gassing them up, which I love to see. I know Prophecy loves to see, and that's what we're here for too, is to get you guys excited, to help you guys get the spotlight that you deserve.
Yes. So many wonderful people. I'm sorry to jump in, but it's been a trend, certainly. You've seen a lot of people kind of trying to jump into the forefront of tournament running, seeing that that's a great way to establish themselves in terms of being leadership in the 2K community. So that's great to see, and it just speaks to the general organic growth of the community at large. So it's awesome. Definitely looking forward to everything that everybody's putting together. I love the AAU format, too, of that particular tournament. That's a different twist. Different twist on the tournament play. So very cool, definitely.
Definitely. Good for them and good luck to them. And so we're going to round out our episode of the NBA 2K Courtside podcast right here with topic number 3, stories from around the 2K world. Denial Esports making a splash in the 2K Pro-Am community, with 2 recently announced teams hitting both Xbox and PlayStation 4 side. And the teams are being headed up by some big community members out there, Prophecy. So, of course, we want to talk about that as the Pro-Am scene continues to grow. The NBA 2K League continues to grow. Now you're gaining interest from actually established esports franchises. And Denial Esports going to be trying their hand at that. And they call upon a great player. Some think we're maybe, overseen for the NBA 2K League Season 2 draft, and expose him. And, a good friend of the show does the intro for the show, and self-taught has, been a lot to me. We've always worked together. And, man, to see him lead up a Denial Esports team on the PlayStation side, this is a big deal. And so I know you are out there with the WR team. You've told me that they are going to participate in this. So it's a pretty big deal. What are some of your thoughts on maybe a more established esports franchise with money, with backing, with the name, coming into something like this where really it's just the community of 5 kids joining a league? Now you have something big happening here.
Yeah, and like we just talked about, the growth of the community at large, and now we're seeing, like you said, established esports organizations, and who knows what's going on to these agreements with these players. We kind of touched on that before we went on air, and what their capability is in terms of what they can offer these players, but just a fantastic platform for the players in general, even just with the social media perspective of it all. How many followers Denial has, and just a chance to get huge exposure. Great pun there with the expose him nickname, but that's what that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna get exposed with Denial, because that's an established group with a huge following, can bring a lot to the table, and to see them kind of jumping into the 2K world, and hopefully that's a trend that we see continue, and a lot more players getting opportunities with sponsorships, and that opportunity to get to that next phase of their exposure and their careers, and be put out there on the forefront to perhaps get a pro job one day. And this is, you can consider this a pro job too, just being sponsored, because as the higher up the ladder that you go in this esports world, the more opportunity there is for financial gain and income. With events and tournaments and things of that nature. So, it's hard to speculate what Denial is going to offer the players, but I'm sure it's a great chance for them to get out there on the scene at even a higher level, and it's a great chance for the community to grow as a whole with an established organization jumping in and getting involved and getting excited about the viewership of 2K in general and its growth. So it's super exciting. Couldn't be happier about that news, and more proud of Alex for getting that opportunity for sure.
Huge opportunity. I know he was devastated about the draft, but to see him rise up again with this is going to be great. And to see them going to be out here performing in WR, all eyes are going to turn to that now. First stream goes live, first couple games. It's going to be fun to tune in and see how big of a presence it brings, from the Twitterverse and Twitchverse. Are there new viewers coming in? Is there new eyes? This is going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll call upon Alice one of these days and see if Alex can maybe give us some back-end information, talk to us about that, because I'm sure he'd love to share it. He's pretty incredible. But, Prophecy, we did it. Our first episode together was a smash. I've been smiling from ear to ear if you're watching the video version of this. And it's been a lot of fun. Great. So, of course, I want to thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Of course, happy birthday to your son. I know it's your son's birthday today, so got to give him some love there. And, of course, thank you for everything you've done. So let's pitch, and get out of here. What would you like to promote? Where can people find you?
Oh, I just want to shout out my Twitter. You can catch me at prophecy_WR_SL. Those stand for the leagues that I represent. Commissioner of WR Pro-Am League. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at WR Pro-Am League and on Twitch as well. Same handle. And you can follow me at SL2K Pro-Am, our free-to-play platform, if you're interested in growing your brand or marketing ability, learning how a league works, participating in a competitive league. Maybe you're not so familiar with it. You can jump in our free league, SL2K, get your feet wet, and perhaps step up to that next level WR if you feel competitively ready. So we offer you a lot of stuff going on both WR and SL2K platforms. Both seasons are getting jumping. We're excited. I got to shout out my guy Reflex, the commissioner of SL2K, Jet Nation. Did wonderful data entry work getting our league going over the last week. It's volunteer work. It's a nonprofit league. So these guys are just chipping in their time, trying to grow the community, trying to provide a platform to these guys. So a couple of guys that I want to definitely shout out. Also shout out to WR NAP. Doing wonderful work with WR Pro-Am League. A huge part of WR Select. Shouldn't be understated how much he does. A huge part of our team over at WR. So big love to WR NAP. And thank you to you, Mike, for this wonderful opportunity. I had such a blast doing this. I hope we can do this many more times to come. Talk about the Pro League, talk about the amateur leagues. It's just a great time. You bring such a wonderful perspective to the table. So thank you for having me on. Look forward to many more.
I love that. Well, of course, I'm one of your hosts, SnowBikeMike. You can find me at SnowBikeMike on all my social medias. And, of course, check me out broadcasting to you live 5 nights a week at twitch.tv/SnowBikeMike. This concludes our next episode of the 2K Courtside podcast. You have just been taking Courtside with SnowBikeMike and Prophecy for all the latest news in the 2K League, 2K communities, and everything around the globe. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment down below what you excited for from the tip-off from week 1 of season 2. We want to hear from you guys, so thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week, 2K Hoopers. See ya.